You are Locked On Red Sox Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, the Red Sox return home and drop a 2-1 decision to the Tampa Bay Rays on Friday night at Fenway Park. Nick Pivetta deserves a tip of the cap. We'll get into that one. But the Sox drop game one, now 500 with just 2 games to go in the regular season. Glass half full, you could be the other Sox, the White Sox. And on Friday night, Chicago, Jerry Reinsdorf's team dropping its 121st game of the season. And with that, they now have the most losses for a franchise in a single season, passing the 1962 New York Mets. There's a little bit of history for you. Welcome into our latest Locked On Red Sox postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime play-by-play announcer and show host. I've called games from the Tokyo Dome, Dodgers Stadium, Target Field, Minute Maid Park, Kauffman Stadium, Jacobs Field, Globe Life in Arlington, and LaLasher Park in Lowell, Massachusetts. As always, we are providing reaction to every Red Sox game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Red Sox podcast feed, which you know is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. On our latest Locked On Red Sox postcast, we're going to talk about the lack of hitting again. Yes, we're going to talk about Nick Pivetta perhaps pitching for the final time in a Red Sox uniform. We're going to talk about Kenley Jansen not around for the final 3 games of the regular season. Like Pivetta, could leave the Red Sox via free agency during the upcoming offseason, which gets underway on Monday for the Red Sox. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button and join the Sox conversation. You can also subscribe to the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Locked On Boston College postcast now available. Locked On Patriots postcast now available. I'll take a few weeks off. Be back with you with Locked On Celtics postcast once the NBA regular season is underway in late October. You can also follow me on the X at Lennox on Baseball. Our latest Locked On Red Sox postcast brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. So the Sox go to Toronto, win 2 out of 3. 4-game win streak snapped on Wednesday night against the Blue Jays in the series finale. Sox return home, managed just 6 base hits, 3 of those hits from Vaughn Grissom, and losing the opener to the Tampa Bay Rays. Nick Pivetta and Taj Bradley matching zeros over the first 6 innings of the game. But the Red Sox dropped 2 in a row, 500, 2 more games to go. Losing record at Fenway Park this season. And, 2 more games to go for the Red Sox. Again, scoring less than 3 runs in a game. They've done that a whole heck of a lot since the All-Star break. We've touched on that plenty of times as well. But Red Sox drop a 2-1 decision. Not going to win many games at the big league level when you're scoring just 1 run for your pitchers. Nick Pivetta, of course, deserved better. Pivetta did not give up a run over the first 6 innings. And I'm telling you, Pivetta deserves a tip of the cap for his Red Sox tenure. He absolutely does. And 31 years old, 6 2/3 innings, does take the loss, does end up giving up the 2 runs. Although, when Pivetta left the game, giving up just the 1 run, Penrod kind of ran into trouble. Walked a batter, hit a batter, walked a batter with the bases loaded. That run was charged to Nick Pivetta. So his final line, 6 2/3 innings. Pivetta left the mound, emotional, tipped his cap to the crowd. Great crowd for a Friday night at Fenway Park with the team eliminated from postseason contention. And emotional in the dugout, knowing that there's a real possibility of an ending. Kevin Youkilis, first NESN reference, did sort of allude to it to say, hey, could Nick Pivetta come back? I'd love to see him back. I really would. And you put him in the position where, hey, Nick Pivetta, you're at the end of the rotation, or you become a solid bullpen guy for us like you were in 2023. Remember, Pivetta, I'll make the case right now. He's a known quantity to your team, to your clubhouse, to your front office. You know what you get in Nick Pivetta. And I think the record, the innings, the runs allowed, the hits allowed, the whip, all those different things, and any numbers you want to create there, I think Pivetta gives you a veteran presence, and I've said it before. I think he ages well. I think he's got 2-3 years left. So if all of a sudden things go sideways for you, now, do you want to sign Nick Pivetta for $3 and $60? No, I don't think you do. But if you could do $3 and $45, $3 to $55, somewhere in that range, and I think that's what Kevin Youkilis sort of alluded to, was a possibility. Just checking. I was looking for a text message and seeing if I can get an update. Not going to happen. That's all right. But Pivetta's a known quantity to the Red Sox organization. He's a veteran. He's a quality veteran. He's a great guy in the clubhouse. All the things that you read, you believe about Nick Pivetta. Can you possibly keep him around? Again, he wants to be a starting pitcher. Hey, you come to camp, you have an opportunity to be our 4th or 5th starting pitcher. You don't want him 1, 2, or 3. You want him behind Bayo, Houck, Giolito, maybe somebody else. Would you take Nick Pivetta as your number 5 starter? Or out of the bullpen? You've got to throw Cutter Crawford to go Saturday in there as well. So storylines, Nick Pivetta, again, possibly pitching and likely pitching in his final game as a member of the Red Sox organization. We learned on Friday, Kenley Jansen has departed from the team. I'll touch that coming up in our 3rd segment as well. But Nick Pivetta gave you an awful lot. You may want to see him go right out the door. That's fine. That's understandable. But Pivetta overall, during his Red Sox tenure, again, I'm sure he's going to want to be a starter. This next contract may be one of his final contracts in Major League Baseball in terms of the number of years, the number of dollars that he can get. Next contract expires, likely going somewhere else. That next contract expires. He might be on a 1-year deal with an option. Could you go 2 and an option with Nick Pivetta? Again, what draws me to Nick Pivetta is he's a known quantity. He's a known for the Red Sox organization. You know that. He can pitch effectively out of the bullpen. He's got a track record there. Worked as a starter, worked as a reliever in 2023. Was very effective as a reliever in 2023. So you see what happens with Nick Pivetta. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, we've got 2 more to go with our Locked On Red Sox postcast. But if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as we are live discussing the Red Sox 2-1 loss at the hands of the Tampa Bay Rays. And Dave O'Brien, we touched on it last week when they were in St. Pete at Tropicana Field. You want to contend next year. You don't want to just go into spring training, we want one of the 3 wild cards. No, you want to contend for the AL East. But remember the start that the Rays got off to in 2023? Teams caught up to them. But the Rays are going to miss out on the postseason for just the first time in a handful of years. They're going to be better next year. They're pretty much a 500 team just like the Red Sox. They get pitchers back from injuries from 2024 back next year. They're getting those guys back. Red Sox get Giolito back, Whitlock back. Talk of him possibly being a reliever next year to keep him healthy. Whitlock quoted saying, basically, I will do what the Red Sox want me to do, and health is in my best interest. Health is the number 1 key for me. Effective pitcher has to stay healthy. We've heard that with plenty of pitchers over the last handful of years, over the last couple of decades. We know that. But you're still going to have to go out, trade, or free agent route to add somebody to that front of the rotation. But a Pivetta as a depth piece, and if it makes sense, you're not going to spend all your offseason budget towards Nick Pivetta. But if you can bring him back on a contract that makes sense for both sides, you at least have to have the discussions. You absolutely have to have the discussions with Nick Pivetta and his people. Hey, guess what? Another night where the bats were quiet. We're going to discuss that next. Locked On Red Sox postcast. Red Sox losing at home to the Tampa Bay Rays by a score of 2-1. Rays now lead the season series 6-5, and they've had success this season at Fenway Park. Locked On Red Sox postcast. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day, presented by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 100%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% return boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms to apply. For product specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. So the Red Sox drop a 2-1 decision against the Tampa Bay Rays. I want to acknowledge our everydayers and our first-timers as well, but we want to acknowledge our everydayers for making Locked On Red Sox Postcast their first listen every day. 2 more to go for the Red Sox. Games number 161 and 162 at Fenway against the Tampa Bay Rays. Red Sox now 13-20 over their last 33 games. And since August, the Red Sox now 19-28. That over a 46-game span, and 27-37 since the All-Star break. Those numbers have not changed. All right, bat of the night in just a moment. Nick Pivetta, free agent. Again, 32 next February. 2024, 28 outings, 27 starts. 2023, 38 games, 16 as a starting pitcher. Sign him for rotation depth. Another arm in the bullpen. Going to be a lot of new arms in that bullpen next year. Bring up Luis Guerrero right now before we get into the bats, because the bats, again, just cooled. But I could throw this in the numbers of the night, but throw it right here. Luis Guerrero, after Penrod walked a batter, hit a batter, then walked another batter to force in a run in that 2-run 7th inning for the Rays. Luis Guerrero, inning and a third. 1 run, 0 earned runs allowed for Guerrero over his first 9 innings in the big leagues. 8 outings for Luis Guerrero. Love seeing him finish up strong. I got to imagine Luis Guerrero next year, he comes into spring training and he's going to have an opportunity to win a job out of the bullpen for the Red Sox. And from what you've seen so far this year, he hasn't been in that many high leverage situations, but I'd like to see Guerrero come to spring training next year. Hey, your job to lose. You could be a 7th inning guy. You could be an 8th inning guy. Maybe at some point next year, he gets a couple of opportunities. He gets the opportunities to close out games. But Guerrero, I think overall, again, no earned runs allowed. And great to see. Before I bat of the night, give you a little on Nick Pivetta. Sox 6 hits, 3 hits from Vaughn Grissom. That's nice to see. Put him in the lineup the next 2 games. He can rest on Monday, then Tuesday, and go from there. But in case you missed it, you do have to pay for The Athletic, but I think Jen McCaffrey does a terrific job covering the Red Sox for The Athletic. She had a piece, a very good piece on Tristan Casas. And reference in there, Tristan Casas of being sort of the modern-day Bill Lee, twinges of Manny Ramirez, Tristan being Casas, Tristan being Tristan, could be a T-shirt in the future. Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic referring to Casas as not only an open book, but a total mystery. And Cutter Crawford had some nice quotes. He beats to his own drum. And also, he's a guy who sticks to his routine. And there was a great story. I shared it a while back when I had buddy Chris Carter on from our days from USA Baseball. And I didn't know this at the time when I saw Casas with the under 18 U team, the 18 and under team for Team USA. But in 2014, he wasn't selected to one of the USA Baseball teams, and he used that as motivation. He basically, the one line that was in that article with Jen McCaffrey and The Athletic on Tristan Casas that I'm referencing here was the fact that Casas basically had a chip on his shoulder for USA Baseball. And there are some people who think, and you don't sell low on Tristan Casas. You want to see him put together a full healthy year in 2025. You want to see what Casas can do. 280, 30 home runs, 85 or more RBIs. That's Tristan Casas next year for me. But I mentioned from that story from Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic, the chip on the shoulder that Casas had. Imagine he left the organization and came back to bite you for years, Ed. And there's another point to be made here with Tristan Casas as well. You've drafted him. You've developed him in your minor league system. And again, I don't think it's a huge contingent. I don't think it's the majority of people that want to see Tristan Casas moved. There are some people I've read, if you can get Vlad Guerrero Jr. in here and get rid of Casas, go ahead. No, I don't necessarily believe that, because you have Casas under control for a few more years, even before he's arbitration eligible. These are the years you want out of Tristan Casas. Vlad Jr. has one more year on his deal. You're going to blow whatever budget you have on Vlad Jr. when you have right now a low-cost option and a very good option at first base in Tristan Casas. Again, a guy you've drafted, a guy you've developed, helped develop, and a guy who's at the big league level and who wants to win. And I believe 100% that Tristan Casas wants to win in Boston. At bat of the night, tough one when you manage just 6 base hits, 1 extra base hit, and 5 singles. But I'm going to go here with the at bat of the night, and it's a little bit of a different one. Grissom had a single in the bottom of the 9th inning to put the tying run on base, but Gonzalez and Sogard struck out to end the ball game. But I go to the 8th inning tonight. Trevor Story led off the 8th inning in a 2-1 ball game. Story had the count 3-0, ended up striking out. And to me, that was the at-bat of the game right there, because you had Casas next. Where did Connor Wong go, by the way? I don't have his numbers. I didn't look them up during the course of the game, but boy, he's been on the struggle bus. Tyler O'Neill's driving the struggle bus right now. He was not in the lineup, and I didn't expect to see him as a pinch hitter late in the game. But overall, Wong really slowed down. Really slowed down in August and September for the Red Sox in terms of the bat. Threw a base runner out tonight. But overall with the bat, I mean, Connor Wong was getting some big hits for you there, and they've been few and far between of late. But Trevor Story at bat of the night, 3-0 count, leading off the 8th inning, struck out. And if he had gotten on base, tying run on base with Casas and Wong behind him, Red Sox, again, managing a base hit in the 9th inning. Vaughn Grissom, 3 singles on the night, half the hit total for the Red Sox. But that was it offensively. Not a whole heck of a lot. And touching on the Rays being better with their pitching next year, again, organization that's developed talent. And they've also had to rehab guys coming back from injuries as well. But Taj Bradley, you're going to get Boz and Pepe over the next 2 games. McClellan, Bradley, Boz, Rasmussen, those guys. I mean, the Rays, keep those guys healthy next year. They're going to be right there. I mean, imagine 4 teams next year. The Yankees aren't going to fall off. The Orioles aren't going to fall off. You have 4 teams competing at the top of the division. You could possibly have 4 teams next year. I'm throwing the Red Sox in there. Glass half full. Positive vibes. You have 4 teams in the AL East, 90-plus wins next year. And I think Kevin Youkilis made a note of it. You've got to win games. You've got to have a record above 500. Red Sox are now 2 games under 500 against AL East teams. You've got to be better than 500 against teams in your own division. That is something else. I would love, you're with us on the podcast. Hit me up on @Lennox on baseball over the next couple of days. What are the highest priorities for you? What do you need to check the box on for 2025? Not even in the offseason, but next year, you've got to be a winning team at home. You've got to you got to have a winning record against teams in your own division, and you've got to tighten things up defensively as well. Those are 3 things you absolutely need to do next year if you're the Boston Red Sox. Absolutely. They're at least in your top 5. Have to win at home consistently. Red Sox never at any point this year a game over 500 at Fenway Park. Never. Not once. Going to finish with a losing record at home. It's been that way the last couple of years. You've got to be a winning team at Fenway Park in 2025. You've got to take care of the baseball. You've got to win against teams in your own division. I put being more consistent, winning more than you lose at Fenway, high priority in terms of what the product is on the field for next year. Kenley left. Whether you like it or not, it wasn't a good look. Reporters coming to the ballpark on Friday being told that Kenley Jansen's not with the team over the final 3 games. Thoughts on Kenley, numbers of the night, and 2 left in the regular season for the Sox. We'll touch on those after this. Locked On Red Sox postcast brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about, with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You may just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city during postseason play. Maybe it's time to test your baseball competition stadium cuisine. Luckily, on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you. With Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the go to all your baseball rival cities. Booking.com delivers exactly the right U.S. stay for you. Booking.com can help you book a stay that's close to your home team's or rival stadium. No matter what team you are rooting for this postseason, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, booking.yeah. Locked On Red Sox postcast. Red Sox losing 2-1, also presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. With over 5 million active members, Prize Picks is the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 stat player projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become part of Prize Picks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn your $10 into $1,000. Sign up today. Get a $50 bonus instantly when you play $5. You do not even need to receive that need to win in order to receive that $50 bonus. It is yours guaranteed. Prize Picks invented the flex pay, which means you can still cash out if your lineup is not perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. Download the Prize Picks app today. Again, use code LOCKEDONMLB. Get that $50 bonus instantly when you play $5. Again, code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks to get that $50 instantly when you play $5. You do not even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Numbers of the night in just a moment. But the Sox losing to the Rays 500 with 2 more to go. We touched on Nick Pivetta. We touched on Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic, talking about Tristan Casas, and also touched on Mr. Luis Guerrero as well. Really looking forward to seeing him come to spring training next year and basically win a job out of spring training. Be part of the bullpen. I think he's had a nice showcase here in his 8 outings over the last couple of weeks. I really do. And deserves an opportunity. 80-80 through 160 games and 2 more to go. Saw it first from Alex Spear, Boston.club on the X Friday. Kenley Jansen not with the club for the final weekend. Not sure if that's a good look. Basically, his nameplate was off the locker. His locker was cleared out Friday. He had talked to Alex Cora. Alex Cora let the media know. And it was one of the several notes from Alex Spear of the Boston Globe that I read on the X. And, Kenley Jansen was going to pitch this weekend, injured list, and was not going to pitch. He had two solid seasons, above average seasons for the Red Sox. Veteran presence, stumbled a little bit after the All-Star break, gave up the home run, walk-off winner for the Astros a few weeks ago down in Houston. He wants to be a closer. There are numbers that if he hits certain numbers, Hall of Fame down the road. I mean, he's not people get caught up in first ballot Hall of Famer and all those things, and it's great topic of discussion during the offseason. Kenley Jansen, he'll be on the ballot after he retires 5 years later, and it'll be interesting to see what the numbers are over the first couple of years. But not being with the team for the final three days. I don't know, because it's one of those where I don't think we know the entire story. Maybe there's something else going on for Kenley Jansen. If he's upset with the organization, does not matter. You should have been there for the guys in the clubhouse, whether you're going to be teammates with him beyond 2024 or not. So ends up exiting. I thought, in terms of watching this Red Sox team night in, night out, day in, day out, since we got underway in June, I was a fan of Kenley Jansen. Does this sour it completely for me? No, it does not. Again, there could be more to the story. So if I come out and kill Kenley Jansen right now, I'm not comfortable with that. Is it a bad look? I can agree with people who say this isn't a bad look. He should be with the team for the final 3 days of the regular season. I can understand that, and I do agree with it. But you move on. Alex Spear, Boston Globe, also writing. Cora saying that Slayton has the stuff to be a one-inning monster or a multi-inning monster. So you transition there from Kenley Jansen out the door to Slayton, who could be your closer of the future. Could start next year. How they determine that in spring training, I don't know. Maybe a couple of guys early on in April next year, late March, early April, when the season gets underway, you kind of go from there. One other note. Actually, two others. I mentioned Garrett Whitlock earlier. Something else that was said by the organization. Too early to discuss whether or not Garrett Whitlock is going to be a starting pitcher or a reliever in 2025. Too early to discuss Whitlock's role for 2025. Determine that in spring training. That's what spring training's for. You figure that out. Tanner Houck is not going to start on Sunday. And, of course, it could be a bullpen day. Bayo's not going to pitch either. And I'm fine with that. But they dangle in front of me finally. I've been calling for Quinn Priester to get a couple of starts. He may start Sunday in the season finale, the regular season finale for the Red Sox. I'd love to see Quinn Priester. I don't care if he goes 4 innings. I just want to see him on a major league mound, major league uniform with the Red Sox. Love to see it. I would have loved to have seen it a couple of weeks ago. Even with the Red Sox still sort of in contention. And we're going to wrap up by saying this. Alex Cora, basically the comments and the quotes of, hey, we blew it. We had our opportunity. We blew it. Especially with how things have played out down the stretch. The Twins faded. Tigers are going to make the postseason. The Royals are going to be 2-3 in that wild card. Red Sox could have been there. Alex Cora quoted as saying basically, quote unquote, we blew it. Had the opportunities. Had the opportunities in front of you where you didn't need any help. But after it became official in the finale against the Blue Jays on Wednesday, and they show the dugout, it was a very quiet clubhouse. That's been chronicled. I know they care, whether it's the Red Sox or any other big league club, all 30 of them. No, they care. I know there are White Sox players right now that did not want to have that record for futility in a single season. They've now lost 121 games with 2 more to go. They could lose 123 games in a single season. But the Red Sox players, they got some camera shots Wednesday from the Rogers Center and the Red Sox dugout, guys dejected and understanding that was the end. Even that faint hope, they were coming to the ballpark saying, we take care of business, we get some help, we can go there. That panic button, that pedal to the metal should have been weeks ago. Is it on Alex Cora as the manager? It is. But it's also on any individual who's in the clubhouse for the Red Sox this year as a player, as a member of the active roster. Up and down from AAA didn't matter. So, have that bitter taste in your mouth Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, through the weekend, through the end of the regular season, and then all off season. Come to spring training ready to go. Don't have those losses where you dropped the finale in Toronto against the Blue Jays and you had an opportunity to sweep the series. Had an opportunity to sweep a series against the Royals after the All-Star break. Didn't happen. At home against the Rangers, at home against the White Sox. Didn't finish sweeps. 4 games right there. You could have finished off sweeps. You could have helped yourselves against the Royals right then and there. Didn't happen. So seeing it dejected the other night, and usually my routine as we wrap up here with our Locked On Red Sox postcast is basically do this, sign off, do some post-production stuff, and the post-game still is on Essence, so I'll catch it. And they caught those images from the dugout. I was like, you know what? You had this, and you lost it. That should be front and center, not the fact that you were just officially eliminated. 2-1 final. Numbers of the night. I gave you a couple on Luis Guerrero. Masa Yoshida. Here's a number of the night. 14. Masa hit by a pitch early on in the game. 14th time this season that Masa Yoshida has been hit by a pitch. That leads the team. He's nowhere near Don Baylor getting plunked or drilled 35 times back in 1986. But still, Masa hit 14 times this year. Team high. That's one of our numbers of the night. By the way, I do this from time to time. If you don't know the name Don Baylor, shame on you. And become Google smart and look him up. Most Red Sox fans know the name Don Baylor, of course. Red Sox held to 3 runs or less yet again. Another game where they score 5 runs. Or 1 run. 1 run total. That was all the Red Sox have. Hey, we've got 2 more to go. So if you're with us every day as in our first listen, to those who listen to the podcast version of our Locked On Red Sox postcast, thank you very much. We've got 2 more to go. Saturday, Sunday. First pitch Sunday, 3 o'clock across baseball with all 15 games that wrap up the regular season. I say that also knowing the Mets and Braves could have to play a doubleheader, likely have to play a doubleheader on Monday because of the hurricane. If you know or if you've been affected by the hurricane, I wish you nothing but the best, as that hurricane system wreaked havoc in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Stay safe if you're continuing to deal with the hurricane in the coming days and weeks ahead. Hopefully, if you have loved ones who are without power right now, that is restored as soon as possible. So as always, we do thank you if you were with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, live with us, and also on the podcast available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Red Sox Postcast, part of the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, your team every day. Again, live within minutes of the last out of Game 2 of the 3-game series between the Rays and the Red Sox, Tuesday or Saturday afternoon from Fenway Park. Don't forget, Locked On Sports Boston, your team, your Boston teams, your Red Sox every day.